What's the mighty power that'll save the day? Oh yeah, that was it. Yes, this is M.A.S.K, M-A.S.K, an acronym for Mobile Armoured Strike Command, with a K, years before Mortal Kombat were doing that sort of language nonsense. Yeah, I think we can basically guess they came up with the title and the acronym after. Yes, this is an 80s toy range, which I bloody love, because my goodness, it's based around vehicles rather than directly around figures, and my god, they are the most 80s designs imaginable. They are fantastic. And in fact, let me introduce you to Thunderhawk, the hero car of the piece. If that doesn't scream 80s in your face while you're trying to sleep, frankly, nothing will. Now, I must warn you, before we get into these, that the ones I have, the toys, are all sort of knocked about and broken, because I've picked them up cheap off eBay and out of shops and stuff, on the grounds that, well, ones in good condition cost too much damn money. So the concept behind M.A.S.K, well, it was to sell toys with little figures in, frankly, but the concept behind it from a story point of view is actually pretty hard to explain, because there are multiple continuities. And I don't really know how they all fit together. There was a cartoon, famously, which didn't have any sort of backstory that I remember, although there may have been an episode I haven't seen. There was a comic book. There was an English comic book, which was different to the American ones, which is the one that I remember. And my god, for that reason, we're not going to go into it. So basically, there are people, some of them are evil, and yet some of them are good. The good ones trying to stop the evil ones doing nefarious things. Not getting too technical for you, am I? And basically, for some reason, they all have these nifty vehicles which look normal, so they can go around, undercover, but then very quickly change into super attack formation and do other things. Now, of course, you may have noticed the problem here that this car, frankly, sticks out like a fucking sore thumb. I mean, come on, guys. I know how to make our car blend in. We'll paint it bright red and stick a purple grid with yellow flashes on it. Absolutely marvellous. So, do you want to see it turn into attack mode then? I should point out also the tyres are missing on this one. They did have tyres originally. Such a shame that they've gone. Now, this one was the main vehicle, but yeah, when it turns into attack mode, it's not a very good transformation, I don't think. I was very disappointed with this as a child. Basically, you push this in and gull-wing doors go up. These rockets come out of the back. The spoiler goes up a bit, and you can pull these out. Oh god, these are well broken. Pull these out a bit, and they're guns or something. And now it flies. Seriously, that is it changing into a bloody aeroplane. Just the doors open and it's got some boosters, which is a bit crap, but the car looks so cool in 80s. Frankly, I'll let them off. Also has an amazing action feature. It can fly over the bad guys, push in the back, and woo, drops little bombs. Can't believe I've got one of those. Actually, I think all the rest of these in the world were probably lost down the back of a sofa in 1986. No, don't do it. Stay with us. So the figures. The figures are much smaller than we are used to in the world of figures. Star Wars figures are a height larger than this. Hang on, I've only got one to hand in the 4-inch scale. Unfortunately, it's one of the squashed head ones from Poundland. As you can see, noticeably smaller. But really, it's a good scale if the vehicles are the biggest things, and you can make the vehicles a bit smaller, and they're not as expensive. Trying to think of other scales similar to this for figures. Dino Riders is the only one off the top of my head, but I'm sure there are more. Now, the reason it was called M.A.S.K was, in addition to their nifty vehicles, each operative, whether good or bad, had their own mask, and each mask was a helmet. Yes, this entire range should have been called Helmet, but I can pretty much hazard a guess as to why they didn't do that. And they all had special powers. This is the leader of the good guys, Matt Trakker. He's a rich blonde American who uses his money for good by making weird cars. Hey, why not? I'm sure I would as well. And his mask that he comes with here is Spectrum, which frankly was one of the shittest ones in the whole range. I don't know why he gave all the good ones away. This one had, I think it had like a really good pair of binoculars built in, and it could like give off sonic waves or something, hence the name Spectrum. It could do radio communications or something. Frankly, it was a bit shite as compared to the astonishing powers that other ones had that we shall come on to. And there's another version of Matt Trakker that comes with Rhino, a vehicle I don't have, which is like a big truck thing going on. Trakker came with that as well because he didn't trust anybody else to ride it, presumably because it was too expensive. It comes in a different suit, and his mask in that is called Ultra Flash. It's also the one used for the sort of mascot for the series and the logo. And all it did was make a bright flash of light to disorient people. And why did he give himself the shittest mask? Maybe he didn't trust himself. Maybe Matt Trakker. Look into his eye. He does look a bit evil there, actually. Who knows? Anyway, bits that have broken off this include the tyres, and as you've, of course, some dirt in there, my God. And this actually had seatbelts, proper little rubber seatbelts to hold the characters in, which is nifty. Anyway, slightly shit transformation, but my God, I love the car itself. It's probably based on a real one, Camaro or something. It's usually a Camaro, isn't it? I don't know. I'm not very good on cars and stuff, but I'll tell you what I do like. Fucking weird helicopters. Welcome to the main villain of the piece, Miles Mayhem. Now this is a fantastic toy. This is Miles Mayhem's personal attack vehicle called Switchblade. Now again, it does suffer from the point of view of this is quite obviously not a normal helicopter. And there's no point actually having a mode where it changes into something less conspicuous when it's still massively conspicuous. I mean, come on, guys. But as you can see, it's bloody cool. Everything from the reverse-facing rear tail there to actual action feature. Wait for it. Whee! Seconds of amusement. My God, I never had this one. A friend did, and it took me a few years, well, about 20 years actually, to actually work out just how nice this design is. It is an incredible looking toy. Now, how does it transform, I hear you saying? Well, it transforms from a helicopter into a plane. Another flying vehicle. Again, don't think they thought that bit through from the story point of view, but my God, the design is great. These things come up, forming guns at the side. Choing. Spring loaded. This goes back into here like that. This whole thing comes round into there. Whoop! And, yep. This is a very broken wing, so I have to be careful with that. And now you have a very, very nifty looking attack vehicle. Now the enemies in this are called Venom. Vicious, evil network of mayhem. The Mayhem referring to Miles Mayhem in there, the leader. We'll look at him in a minute. Also, there's a bit of a problem, because generally in real life the bad guys think they're the good guys, and if you're joining an actual society whose name begins with the words vicious and evil, you're not going to kid yourselves of that. Anyway, this thing's bloody fantastic, and I wish I had one in real life. It also had a missile thing, which fired there. I think it was a similar bomb drop thing to Thunderhawk. I don't know, because it's not around. Let's get old Miles Mayhem out then. Here he is in all his military glory. Likes to fancy himself as a bit of a military man, I think, there. I was slightly disappointed, as I think most people were, with the holes in the masks. I mean, look, there's a sort of his whole mouth is open. On the cartoon, they actually had them filled in with stuff, but they didn't on these. Here he is, looking stern. It's like somebody's evil granddad. The whole overweight military leader archetype is very underused in villains in 80s stuff. Trying to think. Eagle Force has General Mamba. That's the closest I can come to. But yeah, I don't know what his backstory is with Matt Trakker. I think the one for the British comics was they were working on all this stuff for like a government agency or something, and then he double-crossed everybody. And his real name was Miles Mayhew, but he changed it to Mayhem to sound more evil or something. Venom was an interesting evil thing, actually, in the cartoons, because they weren't out for world domination or anything that I recall. They were always just trying to make a lot of money by nefarious means. Which is interesting, but, you know, it does lack the killer edge of many of these other ones. Damn. I mean, it's such nostalgia looking at that figure. Very odd. Right, you go off to the side, and we're going to look at some more stuff. Oh, God. Right. You may remember, a month or two ago, I got a little T-Bob in one of the Nostalgia Crate things. Well, I've got him here with Matt's son, Scott, which is a really sort of naff little figure. Basically, it's like a scooter, and then he comes off it, and then, oh look, it's a robot now. A little egg robot that looks far too much like the ones from the Black Hole, for my liking, frankly. T-Bob was mildly annoying. Scott Trakker was the sort of comedy relief and audience substitute, because, you know, kids' toy and all that. And frankly, he was just really annoying. And he's kind of more like a drunk old man than a child. He acts very oddly and talks very strangely in the cartoon. Anyways, crap. Get over there. We want to look at something cool. This is one of my favourites from the time. Again, very knackered, but just about working. Gator, a very 80s... I don't know why I'm saying all these vehicles are very 80s. It's so obvious, it could be painful. Basically, a man called Dusty Hayes? Don't know why I'm asking, because there's nobody else in the room with me at the moment, who was the driver of this. I don't have the figure, sadly. But it comes with this little barrel in the back. I think there was some sort of flap here that could launch it, and then it explodes and kills everyone in the Western Hemisphere or something. It's not dangerous. And yes, this was a good guy vehicle, but it just looks like a Jeep, as one would expect. But wait for it. Dun, 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 dun. It would drive up to the beach in the cartoon, and... oh, that used to come out a lot further, presumably when the spring was better. A little attack boat. It just kind of leaves this shell to be stolen by people on the beach, presumably. But yeah, nice little gunboat thing. Does this fit on there? Yeah, I think it does. And zooms along and stops all the evil in the world, as well it should. I remember being really impressed with this. I don't know if I can get it to do it. I think this one's probably too old, dusty and broked. But get that in there like that. Let's try again. Oh, no, I won't do it. When this was new, this would fly out really far, like about that far from the thing, which I always found very amusing for some reason. Toys, eh? Oh, we didn't describe Miles Mayhem's mask. I think it was called Viper, and it spat acid, like massively corrosive sulfuric acid or something. Not pissing around like old Trakker there, is he? No wonder the evil guys always won weight. They never did. Let's look at another Evilton. This is Sly Rax. Yep, he does look like one of the bad guys, doesn't he? And in the cartoon, he was quite obviously portrayed as Jack Nicholson. Just the person doing the voice did a Jack Nicholson impression, and that was your lot. He had a bike and a sidecar, and the sidecar was just a massive submarine that came off the sidecar and went underwater. Yeah, it was odd. And plus, he had to pilot the whole thing on his own, despite it being two vehicles, which is all a bit strange. His mask was Stiletto, which fires small blades at people, you know, like little stiletto knives, which, again... somewhat more impressive than the communications device Trakker landed himself with. Right, what's next? Arguably my favourite. This is the only toy I have here that was actually mine when I was a child. I've kept it all these years on the top of a shelf, and a bloody dusty shelf by the looks of it. This is Brad Turner, I believe. Let's take his crazy helmet off. There he is. Look how 80s cool he is, yes. I forget what his mask was called, but I think it made, like, holograms or something to confuse people. I don't know, something crazily high-tech. And his bike, Condor. And by the fact it's called Condor, you can probably guess it flies. Again, a very, very 80s-looking, stylised touring bike thing going on. But wait, you transform it by pushing this thing up, which causes the small laser cannon here to appear into the air, as you probably guessed. And, oh my goodness, it's a bloody belly popper, innit? Man, I'm pleased that still works. Much more subtle and, frankly, more effective flying design than old Thunderhawk here. Always like this one. It was a small toy and relatively cheap for the time, but my God, it's one of the best ones, I think. The weakness is, if you are buying one second-hand, this bit comes out and gets lost really easily. Let's get a closer look at old Brad Turner. Yep. Slightly, those 3 dots from the mouth always looked odd to me, but yeah. Cool 80s man, generic number 3, bless him. Why he also wears sunglasses under another pair of effectively glasses in this thing, we may never know. But also, equally, we may never care. Anyway, let's talk about a nicer transforming flying car. This, oh, figures come out, hang on, get in there, Julio. This is Julio Lopez. I think he may be Spanish, and Firefly. This one's in quite good nick, actually. I can't remember if there's a thing on the back or not. I'm going to say probably not. And it's a little racing car thing. Again, they did kind of drop very quickly the whole, this looks like a normal vehicle thing. I mean, this is the only thing in there that could even pass for a bloody normal vehicle. Anyway, it's quite nicely designed, this one, with the exception of the front piece here, which is obviously going to split in half because it doesn't fit together properly and never did, to my knowledge. So yeah, old Julio's racing along. Look at me race, he says. Possibly he says it in Spanish. Who can say in this crazy world? But then, oh my God, Miles Mayhem has kicked an orphan in the teeth, so he transforms it into his flying thing. I don't know what that one does. Oh, look. Oh, another little bomb-dropping thing, I think. Anyway, that's irrelevant. This bit opens up, and he's now got super flying jet turbine thing of doom. I like the way it turns the wheels into turbines. I think that's quite clever, that. Not sure how it would work practically, but who gives a monkey's chuff? It was the 80s. Go, Julio. So let's have a quick look at him here. I can't remember for the life of me what his mask was called or what it did, although it's one of the better designs for actually integrating with his costume. A lot of them had sort of weird colours and things going on. Can you guess what somebody called Julio Lopez is going to look like? Do you think he's going to have a bushy moustache? I'll tell you what. You were bloody right. Yeah. Masks, this is something that's occurred to me years later. They went the most lazy cultural stereotypes imaginable for a lot of their characters. In fact, I'm going to show you some now. Right, we've got Julio Lopez here. Julio Lopez. Unbelievable. We then had Bruce Sato, who was sort of Matt Trakker's second in command, kind of. I think he did the Rhino vehicle with him. Haven't got his mask, but it was called a lifter, and it lifted heavy things, which is always pretty nifty. I dislike this character, and I shall tell you for why in the cartoon. Actually, he was like really calm and got shit done and was really clever, which is the sort of character I would normally have liked as a child. But I didn't like him because his voice was quite obviously Matt Trakker putting on a very weak Chinese accent, and it always threw me over a bit. And let's face it, if you notice that when you're a young child, that's probably not a good thing. And he'd come out with a load of bloody, I don't know, wise uncle sayings and all that guff. A matter of interest, here's an alternate version. In the 80s, back in the day, they would pre-package the figures with an accessory set and a different mask. And they'd basically just repaint the figure, as you can see there. And yeah, different mask and extra little bits. There's a little sort of pocket money toy, which is interesting. I always like that mask. I think it works better than his actual one, which was a bit goggly, if I recalled. It looked like a sort of weird gas mask thing going on. And it looks a bit like Jackal, that one. Quite like it. Anyway, yeah, Julio Lopez, Bruce Sato, don't worry, they get worse. There's a Russian, who I believe was called something like Boris Bushkin. Should have looked that one up. He's also got an M tattooed on his head, which is odd. And one metal boot. So, yeah, he's Russian, so he has to be wearing loads of furs, despite the fact that he's probably somewhere too hot and all that. He was some sort of double agent, I think. He started off working for Miles Mayhem's evil network of Mayhem evil, Venom evil, and then switched over to M.A.S.K, or actually was a M.A.S.K double agent all the time. I can't actually remember details, eh? He's even got a knife on his back, for crying out loud. But yeah, so if you're thinking the whole cultural stereotypes haven't been too bad, here's the Indian bloke who's called Ali Bombay. I shit ye not, Ali Bombay. He also had a slightly crap like bike he came with that turned into a hovercraft or something. Can't really remember that. Also, M.A.S.K, horrible looking things. Like something H.R. Giger would come up with. And yeah, the wrong colour to actually mesh with the rest of it. But anyway, Ali Bombay. Yeah. I honestly thought that was the worst it got with the lazy stereotypes, but I hadn't actually come across in my life before Nevada Rushmore. The world's most American Native American. Here he is, dressed up like a Sioux chief, and yeah, in the cartoon he had the whole... I'm not even going to say how he talked. You can probably guess that for yourself. But do you know the real icing on the cake here? Here's his mask, which, as you've probably already guessed, is called Totem. And it fired tiny totem poles at people. That is not a joke. They had a Native American character whose mask fired tiny totem poles at people. Don't know what his one did. Made you a frickin' curry or something, I imagine. God, yeah. Right, anyway, let's ignore all the lazy writing and get back to some vehicles. Because I've got one more over here. Firecracker, which again does actually look like a normal truck, so that's pretty good. The driver of this was Hondo McLean, who had an interesting mask in that it just kind of sat over his eyes like a visor. And it shot like really powerful lasers or something, which is, again, for one of the good guys, that's fairly obviously weaponised. So he was one of the cooler ones for those two reasons. And yeah, this was his vehicle, Firecracker. It had like a spare tyre on the back, I remember, and there was a way of actually, yeah, that comes down, and you could launch it, like physically fire it out the back, and little blades came out of the side of the tyre. It was a very strange thing. But anyway, so this is your vehicle. Let's get old Boris in there. Give you something to do, mate, while you're not playing Tetris or something. Go on. Let's clear some space. There we go. What does it change into? Well, the jury's still kind of out, actually. Oh, that's clearly the thing at the back. How do you change it? I can't remember. No! 5 months later, he may have recalled. Ah, right, I've got it. There's a switch on the side. Basically, it shoots up in the air and has guns in the front. That's kind of it. I could never work this one out. It's like, aren't you making your vehicle weaker By opening up a very, very slim chassis to being damaged? Why does making it slightly taller give you any sort of positive effect? Always seemed very strange. It's got hidden extra tyres though, hooray! That's just what we all need. So there we are, poor old Hondo didn't do very well on that one. He did get another vehicle, which was like a classic American muscle car, which had guns coming out of the windshield and God knows what. That was more impressive, frankly. But yeah, poor old Firecracker, can never get me head round it. Right, so that's enough for today. I'm going to do probably 2 or 3 videos on M.A.S.K because I've got other stuff and I bloody love it. Here's a quick cutaway because I have to give this figure back to somebody else. It's Bruno Shepard, everybody's favourite. Look how evil he is with his one glove and his chain tattoo and his evil, sneering face. Looks like a melted latex mask. Also, his hair appears to be some ketchup that's been dropped on his head. But let's not get into that. This is a European exclusive repaint. Originally came with like a vehicle. This one came with, well, like an accessory pack. I had it when I was young, and it's very strange. It was like a tea tray with guns on. Never could get my head around it. But, yeah, it's his mask, really, that causes the problems. It was originally orange, I believe, has been painted purple for this, which is a bit of a problem, as we will see in a second. But I will go through the minor problem first. The minor problem is, it don't sit on his bloody head. It sits so high on his shoulders that it looks absolutely ridiculous. Look at it, his eyes barely reach the chin of the mask. He wouldn't be able to see a bloody thing. The eyes are actually above his head, let alone the rest of it. Ridiculous. But the major league problem, unfortunately, is, well, the shape of the mask combined with the fact that they've now painted it purple. Yeah, you're not really going to find anything more phallic than that in a kid's toy range before they get arrested.